Okay, project for this week. Got to try and finish this bike off. Kickstart, I've got cleaning up at the moment. That's in the ultrasonic. The exhaust, I did last week, but I forgot to put it on the video. So I will put a little clip on this video to show you how I cleaned it all up, got rid of all the rust, sprayed it all up, and got it looking half decent. Got new plastics coming for it this week, so that'll tidy all the bike up. Got the front forks to tidy up because these are looking a little bit pitted and grotty, so I'm going to put a vinyl wrap on those to finish those off. New front brake I've got to put on. Well, I've got an old one, so I'm going to try and tidy that up and recycle that sort of thing. And also got to put a cover on. Good job these bikes are light. Got to put a cover on here. So I've got to find one of those. I've also got a small leak coming from the head gasket. So I'm probably going to put a new head gasket on there at some stage in the next couple of days. So we'll sort that out, and it's all still running really nice. It's pretty much starts first click. So engine wise, nothing wrong with the engine, just the head gasket's got a slight leak. And that's the project for the week. So found this old front brake, which I got out of my boneyard yesterday. It's pretty corroded, but it's in working order. It actually works. So what I'm going to do is give it a good clean up. That I'm probably going to give it a bit of a paint strip, but put it through the ultrasonic. Possibly the same with that. I might just put that through the ultrasonic and give it a clean up. But then this, I'm going to have to give this a good service. But the actual holes, mounting holes on this, are the wrong size, so they don't line up. However, got a similar sort of brake, whereas these holes do line up. And this is an old parts one. So what I'm going to do is swap these mounting bars over. Basically the same brake, just different mounting holes. So I'm going to strip them down, clean them all up, and then hopefully we should have a front brake for this little mini bike. That's the plan anyway. So I push that piston in using a G-clamp, and I should, if I push it in enough, be able to get these brake pads out. That one's being held in by a spring. In theory, that should come out. And that's how that part, that's your actual spring. What keeps the, I think that keeps the brake pads apart when they're in there. Stops them binding up. So that can go in the ultrasonic now, give that a clean up. And then this one should come out. Famous last words. That one's a bit corroded in there, I think. They should be the same size. So that will fit in there, so that replaces that one, which are different hole sizes. However, it looks a bit grotty, so we'll put that in the ultrasonic, give that a good clean up, possibly a respray. I might just give them a bit of a paint stripper on there, clean all the corrosion off, and should be good. So I just got those all covered in paint stripper. So I'll let them soak in that for half an hour, and then we'll put them in the ultrasonic. That one can go in the ultrasonic anyway, I think, and we should be able to clean them up quite nice. Right, also found a side cover for the bike, which goes on there. So what I might do is give that a paint strip. I might have a go at buffing it up, see what it comes up like, see if we can get it shiny, make it look good. Right, so that's them paint stripped. Didn't get all the paint off, but I'll get the rest off with a bit of wire wool and a bit of a wire brush. This bit I'm going to try and polish up. I'll put it on a buffing machine, see what it comes up like. Bit of sandpaper on there. Find about 400 grit to sand it down, smooth it down, see if we can polish that up, and see how we go. Hello, Boo. So buffed up, not come out too bad. A couple of scratches in it, but it was badly pitted. But it's not too bad, it's good enough. I gave the kickstarter a good clean. I soaked it in some vinegar because all this was really rusty. So I soaked it in some vinegar for a day or so, and then put it in the ultrasonic. That's come up really clean now. That's almost like new. So that can go back on the bike now. Rusty old exhaust system. I'm going to try and restore it somehow. I'm going to get these covers off and give it a good old clean up and see if we can make it look half decent. So we'll just go through the process of derusting it. So using double strength white vinegar to try and dissolve the rust on these exhaust guards. They're in a pretty rough state, so we'll see if we can get rid of the rust on them anyway. We've got a little jar just for the nuts and bolts. We'll put some vinegar in there. And then fill this up with vinegar. and leave it for a day or so and see what happens. I'll probably have to put a bit of weight on that just to, oh no, it might be right. Just about covers it. So we'll leave that for a day and see what the difference makes. The actual exhaust, I'm going to use the angle grinder with wire wheel on it to go over all the rust and see if we can get it off. So that's the after effect of using a wire wheel. It's a little bit hard to get in this section, so I had to use a wire brush in there and some sandpaper to get the worst off as what I could. The end section's not come out too bad, so that'll be chrome. So I'll mask that off and then I will give the rest a coat of heat-proof paint. Probably a primer first and then some heat-proof paint just to finish it off, and then we'll see what the guards look like when the rusters come off. So this is the little exhaust I was working on. Gave it a respray with primer last night. It's come out quite nice actually. The only thing I have noticed is there's a couple of little pinholes at the top. So what I'm going to do is put some bog in there. I've got some epoxy heat-proof bog, which should hold that together. And then we'll give it a spray of black paint. The guards and that, what I was soaking in vinegar, not much has happened with those yet overnight, so I'll probably leave those for another day. That was all the screws in there, so that seems to be working in now. What I might do with these guards is give them a little bit of a scrub with a wire brush as well, which will speed the process up, and see how we go. Right, so I just bogged this up with a 2-part epoxy, which is like a heat-proof epoxy, just to fill those holes in. It goes on and it's a little bit like putty, you just smooth it on. It's a 2-part mix, you mix it together and it's pretty good stuff. It's ideal for little pinholes. So we'll wait for that to dry, then we'll give this a whole respray, and I'll probably do that in black. It should look quite good when it's finished. Little bit of rust still on these, but they're pretty good. It's not bad. So they've not come up too bad compared with what they were like. It's got 99% of the rust off. Some of the chrome's a little bit damaged. This one not too bad. There's one more thing I can probably do with them to try. I've still got a little bit of rust on there, a little bit on there, so I could probably soak that one a bit more. That one's still pretty rusty. Let's see if I can get it off of her. worst of the rust has come off. This one's a little bit damaged on the chrome, but I think we're going to another soak these two for another day, and then we'll go from there. So another way of polishing chrome is with tin foil or aluminium foil, apparently. It's supposed to put the shine back on it. So it's not bad, not perfect, but it's not bad. It's a lot better than it was. There's a couple of little dents in this, so I have to try and beat those out with a hammer. I think with a bit more work, I'll probably get that looking quite nice. So this is the exhaust I've painted up. So it's pretty much ready to go back together. I just got to wait for these chrome bits, but once the chrome's on there, it should look quite tidy. Not the best angle to film, but it's getting there. This is the two heat shields I had soaking in vinegar for about the last 4 days. Actually got rid of 99% of the rust. This one's got a bit of a hole on it, so I might have to sort of do a double washer on that. This one's a little bit bent, so I'm gonna have to straighten it out. What I might do with these is just give them a coat of black paint anyway, but at least the rust is gone, so I'll give them a prime. They can go back on the exhaust, because it's such a small bike. I want as many heat shields on there to stop the any young kid getting burns off the exhaust. So we'll try and clean those up, probably spray them black. That guard's all back on the exhaust. They're the ones I sprayed in black because the chrome was a little bit gone, but they don't come out too bad. The one where I had a hole in, I've just put a couple of bigger washers on there just to hold that all in place. So that's good to go back on the bike now. So I'm going to whip the head off of this so we can get to the head gasket, because that's got a slight leak on it. So we'll take this off, make sure the head's not warped. I don't think it is, but and we'll put a new head gasket in there. So I've got to take this off, take the head off, slip it out, and it should be good. I'll get it to top dead centre, and that'll make it easier for putting it back together. And hopefully it shouldn't take too long.
A little bit of oil coming out of this. That's about $14, isn't it?
So top dead centre on these. How about that? So down there, a bit dark, can't really see it. But on there we have some marks here we got the dot, which should line up with that, and then got your top dead centre mark in there. So that's at top dead centre now, so we'll take it all to pieces. Right. For some reason these screws are a 9mm, so I'll just hold the These things are great, these are puppy pads, but they work brilliant for oil. Brush washers off. Off, and all the bolts are off, so it should I've got to take the exhaust off. Yeah, Boo. There's Mr. Boo. Mr. Boo, come to see me. Come to supervise. What you doing? What you doing, Boo? You're in the way of the camera. Okay. So now I've got this head off. Can't actually see anything wrong with it. So the head gasket looks okay. The only thing I could think, because it's got a little small leak coming from here, around this area, whether it's slightly warped or slightly worn. So what I might do is give this part a light sand, put it on a piece of glass and some sandpaper, give it a new coat on the head there, just to take it down a fraction, and see if that'll prevent the leak, because there's nothing obvious there. So I'll give that a go. So what I just noticed with this gasket, what came off, there's like a little rubber gasket inside that gasket, and it was just a little bit kinked in there. So I don't know whether that was causing the leak. I'll put a new one on anyway, and hopefully that'll cure it. I gave the head a slight rub down. I used I think it was about 600 grit and a piece of carborundum paper on a sheet of glass, just to give that a bit of a sand and get any burrs off of it or anything, just in case that was causing any leaks. So in theory, it should all go back together now and not leak. That's Woo! Got a pigeon come to see me. This is Woo. I feed Woo every day. He comes every day with all his mates. But he always comes to nag me for food. It's him, and I've got another turtle dove called Bridget, and they come and see me every day. Bless them. It's come early today. They usually come about 3 o'clock. Right, I'll talk those down in a bit. Let's see. Hopefully it should still all align. If I put it to top dead center on the on there. Should about there. Dead center. Let's see if it's actually moved. So to get these timing rings back onto the camshaft, what I do is put a little screwdriver in the locating nut or locating hole, and then ease it on. And give it a tap. Which is always the tricky part. Now, the top dead center is about there. It's probably needs to go over one more link. Okay, so we're pretty much there. Just in case I get these screws in. Top dead center. Yeah, pretty close. Yep. Right. Right, got to torque these up. Put it back on, and hopefully it should just start up. So got the exhaust back on under there, car's back on, everything's on okay. Doesn't appear to be anything leaking as of yet. Let's give it a start up and see if it starts. Seems to be starting okay. What I might do is just leave something under there just to make sure it's not leaking. Put a little bit of cloth under there. Touch wood, we've cured the leak. But now we've got the brake to do. Finish that off. Finish this we put the case on. I polished up yesterday. Find some screws for it. Chain guard going on. Whoops.
Okay, so what we have here is all the new plastics for the mini bike. So what I've got to do is take off these plastic covers and give them a wipe over with some alcohol cleaner to get any residue off them, and then we can attempt to put the stickers on. You need to put alcohol on these just to get any residue off of from the machines, what they make them with. We'll give the glue on the back of the decals a bit more chance. So if there's any light oil or dirt on these, bugs the glue up quite easily. There's something in your fingerprints that actually kills the adhesive as well. I'll start with the easiest one, which is the Alright, a couple of air bubbles in it. Doesn't look too bad. But that was the easy one.
This one.
It's quite cool. I never seem to get these ones right, but we'll give it a go.
So after a few headaches of not having the brake fit, and then the disc brake not fitting properly, I've come up with a new solution where I've had to change the whole wheel. I've had to change the brake. The problem with this wheel is it's slightly bigger than the last one, which isn't the original wheel what was on the bike in the first place, but it seems to go with the bike, so we're going to go with that. So I've got to clean all this wheel up, clean this brake up, get the brake working. I've also got the headache of these triple clamps. They're different screw settings for the mud guard, so I've got to like change all those somehow, or I've got to change them on the mud guard, but I've also got to tap out some screw holes in here. So that's where we're at the moment, so hopefully I can get all this sorted today. Okay, right, this is where we're at with this bike. So yesterday I had a bit of a disaster because I had a different wheel on there. It wasn't aligning with the brake that I had, so I've had to find a new wheel. So I've got this wheel, gave it a respray yesterday, so that's almost ready to go back on the bike. Brake, I've had to chop and change the brake with another brake to make that fit, so that's all ready to go back on the bike. So in theory, I should be able to get this bike finished today. So just a bit of fiddling about and we should be there. Brake can go back on a bike. So I've got the brake disc here, and what I'm going to do with this, because these go really rusty after a while, I'm going to mask up this area, and then I'm going to spray the middle, give it a coat of paint, and try and tidy it up and stop it rusting. The brake shoes should stop the outside going rusty, but the inside always seems to go rusty, so I'm going to mask that up, give that a spray. I might do that in gold or something. And then get that back on the wheel and then get the wheel on. Right, so got that all masked up. So just going to give it a coat of etching primer and then we'll give it a spray of gold. So got that all sprayed up. So that's ready to go back on the wheel. And now we can put the wheel back on the bike. It should stop that going rusty now. So, finally got the wheel on the bike. Brake seems to be working. Just got to tidy up this cable. Tidy up a little bit of paintwork. Got to do some film on here. And then we can put the plastics on and we're almost there. And it's just a case of touching it up here and there. I'll put a little handlebar pad on there, which I made up from an old one with a bit of film. We're almost there, almost. Right, we've got some carbon fibre wraps, which are these things, to go on here. So what I'll do is give these a wipe down with some alcohol, and then we can put these on. I'll just give them a little bit of a clean as well. It's the alcohol. A bit of heat. Tidies that cable up. Right, so I've got to assemble all these plastics now, which is just loads and loads of screws by the looks of it. with it. So just got to put bolts in there, same the other side. A couple of bolts in the back there, behind the saddle, and we're almost there. So, finally got the front mud guard on, which was a bit of a battle, just getting the screws in there. I've also got to get this, make this fit. For some reason this isn't a standard one, so I've got to make that fit somehow. And then we're there, almost. A little bit of finishing off here and there, and we're done. When I was putting the wheel on yesterday, I noticed the steering was a bit loose, and then I realised there's 2 bolts missing, which will secure the steering. Because when I was putting it on, I thought this is a bit wobbly. So yeah, I've got that to do. I've got the bolts to put on here, but I'll leave them off for the time being, just in case I need to take the seat off again. I'm going to give it a good check over. But I think we're pretty much there now. It's been a bit of a challenge, this one, with this front wheel and odds and sods. This is the joy of using lots of different mini bikes to build one. Although a lot of the parts look compatible, a lot of them aren't. So it's a trial and error really, but we're almost there, on home straight. Okay, found a couple of bolts, hopefully they're the right size. Right, that should be then secure. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I'm going to go through, just check all the bolts as well today. Make sure everything's nice and tight and tied up. We've got this thing to put on, so I've got to adapt that somehow and make that fit. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with that just yet, but we'll have a look at that next. See what we can do. We've got 2 mounting holes there, but I'll have to build some brackets and possibly take off these lugs. But we should be able to get that on there. Okay, to mount this thing, what I've done, drilled 2 holes in there, and then to give it a spacer, I've used a bit of old fuel pipe, which gives it a little bit of cushioning as well. And then on the bottom, I'm just going to do a self-tapper through the mud guard. So that'll go on there. And then we can chop this part off. So let's see how that goes. Looks good. So you can see we've got a bit of a gap down there. Plenty of room for the cables. But yeah, it looks good. Oh yeah, just a few finishing bolts. One more bolt and we're done. Just got to find a nut for it. So what I've done with these bolts is I put grommet in between the plastics as well. It just gives it a little bit of flexibility. Hopefully, if anyone falls off, you're not going to break any of the plastics. So last bolt going on and we're done. If I can get it on. pretty much there. Just need some dust caps on the tyres, and I think that's it. And then a polish. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated, and we'll see you next week. We've got a YZ250 starting, so should be a good one. Okay, so finally finished. Got all the plastics on. Everything's working properly. Checked over. Everything seems to be running okay. Quite happy with it now. Been a little bit of an endurance, this one. Started pretty much first click. Everything I've got to do is put the new air filter on when that turns up. Yeah, quite a nice little bike. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.